Rip Fortnite has been trending on Twitter for days now, and while I really like Season 6, it's time we look at things that players don't like so we give Epic Games a chance to make the season better. I think it's safe to say the Primal shotgun is completely broken and might need a little bit of a nerf, but we're gonna slow our roll and start with number 15, which are Cuttlefish. The Cuttlefish are probably one of the biggest underdogs since Season 6 began. I don't think anyone expected these things to be so overpowered, but they are insanely powerful in the meta right now. They're basically being like a new type of remote explosive. The Cuttlefish can absolutely destroy someone's build and everyone inside of it with just a few shots, and you literally can't counter it. So a lot of people, especially those who love to turtle, just hate these things and think they need a nerf. Now, I do want to say that the things on this list aren't items that I personally hate, but I read your comments and tweets and stuff like that, so I'm just gonna try to point it out, and if you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments. But speaking of new items that need a nerf, we have to mention number 14, which is obviously the Primal shotgun. Alright, if you played Season 6, you probably got an opinion on the Primal shotgun. This is basically the Season 6 version of the drum shotgun, and the community is very split on it. Although a lot of people absolutely hate this thing. If you haven't used it, it's insanely spammy. Like, you could just dominate someone with this thing if you hit them one-on-one. So a lot of players agree that this is overpowered, although there are still people who think it's balanced, so basically the people who use it love it, and the people who die to it, well, hate it. It's like a lot of guns, really, and the community hatred continues as we move on to number 13, which is problems with the new crafting system. So crafting is a mixed bag in Fortnite right now. It's definitely shaking up the way that Fortnite works entirely, but whether that's a good thing or not has yet to be decided by the community. A lot of people agree that crafting is an awesome addition to try and get rid of RNG and make games feel more consistent. However, it might also have the opposite effect. If you don't drop at a good area, it's really hard to find parts to even craft anything. Not to mention the fact that you need a ton of parts to craft, so even if you find a few, you're still stuck with useless animal bones or parts in your inventory. So either you waste your time or you get a decent weapon from crafting. And so yeah, some changes definitely need to be made to crafting to kind of make it appeal to the entire community a bit more. And this is where controversy strikes as we talk about something pretty huge going on right now. It's time for number 12, which is the wager match ban. So there's been something huge going on in the community lately, and Fortnite pros have been getting very upset about it. If you didn't know, recently, Fortnite cracked down on wager matches because it's against their terms of service, and they could get in a lot of legal trouble if they didn't take a stance against it. And unfortunately, a lot of pros do wager matches between themselves and viewers for fun or to keep streams fresh and new, but at the same time, a major part of the Fortnite community is underage, which is a really bad look for Epic to have a bunch of pro streamers promoting gambling and all that type of stuff. And because a lot of people loved watching or participating in wagers, they got hashtag #RipFortnite trending on Twitter, calling the game dead and protesting the choice. But at the same time, the other side of the community got hashtag #ThankYouEpicGames trending to try and get rid of the other hashtag. Yeah, it's a whole mess and the community's torn right now, but anyways, enough about that as we gotta move on to number 11, which are Makeshift Weapons. So of course, with Season 6, we have the new Makeshift and Primal series of weapons, and they've dominated the loot pool and pretty much taken over the meta. However, the Makeshift weapons specifically have a lot of issues that the community just don't like. The Makeshift rifles have an insane amount of bloom, and it's almost impossible to hit anything unless you shoot at it in single rounds sometimes. Then we have the Makeshift shotgun, which only has a magazine size of 2 bullets, the lowest of any shotgun since, well, the double barrel. Because of this, we're constantly reloading when using the shotgun, and it can really mess our fights up. But from features in game right now to things that aren't even out yet, we gotta cover number 10, which is the Season 6 secret skin. Despite Neymar Jr. not even hitting the battle pass yet, a lot of the community are annoyed. This theme of crossovers being the secret skin for the season has been going on since Deadpool in Season 2, and people are still annoyed that it's happening. In Season 4 and 5, crossover skins made sense as both of those seasons were crossover themed, with Marvel, and then we had the Hunters. But with Season 6, it's a Primal season, and with Neymar Jr. as the secret skin instead of like the Foundation or someone else, people aren't exactly happy. We know that Neymar's skin is probably going to be more than just him, as his teasers have some kind of wolf association, but despite this, a lot of the community just want original skins back in the battle pass, and this could have easily been an item shop skin. Let me know how you guys feel about that, but let's move on to number 9, which are stinkfish. Stink grenades have always been incredibly overpowered in Fortnite, no matter what season they're in, and that idea extends into Season 6. Sure, the stink grenades aren't back, but the replacements are. The stink bow and the stink floppers are quickly becoming very hated by Fortnite players because of the new strategies that come with them. A lot of people with these items will get someone weak and then throw a stink fish in their box to kill them. Either that, or they just fire a ton of stink arrows from a long distance and make a whole area literally impossible to stay in. And while we're on the topic of overpowered bows, we have to talk about number 8, which is the Shockwave Bow. Okay, sure, the stink bow is hated, but we haven't even talked about the Shockwave Bow. This thing is kinda insane because not only are shockwave grenades in the loot pool, but there's the bow too. I think the worst part is you can have over 30 arrows, meaning you could literally just keep shockwaving yourself far, far away with no repercussions. Fights take forever because people are flying all over the place, and Fortnite players, well, they just don't like this. Some of us love the bow, others straight up want it vaulted. In my opinion, maybe a little bit less arrow. Having 30 shockwaves at your disposal at any time, it's a little much. But something that is definitely going to be vaulted soon is number 7, which is the new Storm. Since Season 6 started, the Storm has been extremely broken. Not in the way that it works, but the way it looks. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you've been caught in the Storm lately, you could barely see where you're going. It's just extremely bright and you feel lost at all times. Like especially in endgame fights, you can find yourself losing where your opponent is and getting destroyed. The Storm can be really disorientating. Luckily though, Epic has stated that they are working on a fix, so we won't have this problem for much longer. And yet a problem we'll be having for a long time is number 6, which is that we don't have snipers. Yeah, one of the biggest and most noticeable changes to the loot pool in Season 6 has been the complete removal of the snipers. This is one of the first times that Fortnite has not had a single sniper in the meta, and it's kind of different. And because of this, a huge chunk of the player base absolutely hate it. I mean, sure, there are a huge amount of new bows to pick and choose from, and hitting a headshot with a bow could probably be even more satisfying than a sniper. It's just not the same for a lot of people. I mean, seriously, most players love being able to scope in and get a one-shot kill, and a lot of people who are great with snipers have realized that a bow is much harder to use and does way less damage compared to a sniper, especially the builds. And speaking of builds, we got to talk about number 5, which is hired NPCs. So right now in Season 6, hiring an NPC is, well, kind of pointless. Like, not only do these guys just wander around not doing anything, but they could do more harm than good. For some reason, you could be in a huge build fight, and then the NPC you've hired just walks up and destroys your entire build. Like, you hire these dudes and they just sabotage you instead. It is kind of hilarious when you think about it, but it really has annoyed a ton of people playing the game. I've read a lot of comments about it, okay? I mean, to the point where hiring an NPC almost is kind of a stupid thing to do. But that's all I got to talk about that spot. As we approach the end of our list, we got to cover some of the most hated items in Season 6 right now, starting off with 4, the Spire Boots. At the start of the season, I think I speak for all of us when I say that learning about the Spire jump boots was exciting, and we all originally thought that these things were like overpowered. Except, there's a ton of problems that we've learned since Season 6 came out. In a regular match of Fortnite, these jump boots are extremely hard to get. You need to either clean out the whole Spire POI and then get the boots, or you need to kill a Spire Guardian halfway across the map and then travel with no weapons all the way back to the Spire. It's insane! Also, not even worth it. I mean, you get the jump boots and they are mediocre at best. Not sure they give you glider redeploy and double jump, but the whole system of having to jump 3 times in a row, it's a little clunky. The idea is awesome, that's what I want to say. The idea is awesome, it needs a bit of tweaking though. Because of this, barely anyone, including me, uses this in Fortnite. And while we're on the topic of the Spire, next up, you guessed it, number 3, the Spire Guards. Okay, much like the IO guards in Season 5, the Spire Guardians around the map are incredibly overpowered at times. It really depends on how lucky you get. Some matches you beat these guys super easy, and then a lot of the time they have insane laser aim. You could just be looting houses near a Spire and suddenly you got an NPC beaming you and you're about to die. I will say, in all fairness though, at least we know where these guys are on the map and don't get ambushed like last season. But still, I've read a lot of comments about this, and a massive portion of the community hates these guys and they're super frustrating to deal with. And apparently so is number 2, which is Wolves third partying. So when wolves were announced for Season 6, we were all really excited to see how wild animals would fare in Fortnite, and honestly, they're pretty easy to take on and use in the game. They're great, but there's one thing that could be kind of annoying. Much like the sharks in Season 3, a pack of wolves coming out of nowhere while you're in a fight can be devastating. These wolves love the third party in Season 6 for some reason, and it's super frustrating for a huge amount of players. But I guess it's time to finish off with our final most hated part of Season 6, which is number 1, bouncers. Currently in the game, we have shockwave bows and grenades, and that's it for mobility. You can't even craft those things in competitive, so in that mode, there's absolutely nothing. The reason that mobility feels lacking this season is actually because bouncers have been vaulted completely. And it may seem like a small thing, but bouncers getting vaulted was actually a huge deal, and it makes the pacing of the game feel much slower and grounded than past seasons. An overwhelming amount of people use bouncers in Season 5, and to see them vanish overnight, it's a little hard to get used to for a lot of players. Now luckily, there is hope on the horizon, as a grappler bow is coming in the future as seen in the Battle Pass trailer, but it's still not the bouncers. I gotta say, if we get them back in the next few updates, the player base would probably be thrilled. But that's all the hated things in Season 6. Like I said, I read all your tweets and comments and stuff like that. I wasn't just trying to complain and not offer solutions or anything like that. What I was trying to do is give you, the viewer, the voice to be able to talk to Epic Games, and hopefully they watch this and try to improve. I think the best thing that we could do with Epic Games is just give them constructive criticism and not just complain and not offer solutions, you know? But thanks so much for watching. Obviously, this has been Tommy. Keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.